Hello and welcome to one of my ever-popular reaction videos where I get some game footage of a game that ain't come out yet, and then I just talk over it. It's really easy content, isn't it? And they're really popular on the internet. People like to look at other people looking at stuff and just getting their reaction. They're just some no-name pud, but you know, their opinions aren't worth shit. My opinion isn't worth shit, but people like to look at them anyway. As you can tell from this graphic here, this is some footage from PlayStation Underground, which was a magazine and now it's not, but they do videos on the official PlayStation YouTube channel, and they've got this new footage for God of War. I do believe it's just called God of War now, technically God of War 4. In the video, they yammer over the whole thing, so I'm not going to play their audio because I'll just be talking over other people the whole way through. So I'm just going to put on my own music. The music that's playing right now isn't part of the trailer or the footage or anything. Don't worry about that. I know this God of War has quite a few people concerned. You know, folks worried this won't be in the spirit of the series and worried about some of the modern changes they've made. In this video, the PlayStation Underground people are talking about how cool the trolls are. The trolls have their own language. It's so awesome. It's like Norse mythology and all that kind of stuff. They look alright. It's a big yellow one. Looks a little bit Middle-earth-ish, actually. Not sure what I think about that, but it's got a very, you know, Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War orc look to it. Or indeed, you know, one of their trolls from Shadow of War. I know in the PlayStation Underground commentary they talk a lot about the new perspective. This is played from a different perspective than other God of War games, which had a pulled back camera. You know, to give you a bit more of a distant look with some fixed camera angles and stuff. And this is a more modern, close to the shoulder, you know, the character occupying the left-hand side of the screen, and just a big old bunch of world on the right-hand side. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. I get that it's a more modern look, and I understand what the PR about this game is talking about with, you know, it's more intimate, but potentially more immersive. But it does make it look like all of the other games, just all of the other action games out there. God of War, as a series, looked a bit different. It was actually something of an old-fashioned, you know, it's why we're saying this is a more modern look. It was something of an old-fashioned. A lot of PS2 action games, you know, had that pulled-back look. And these days, that's kind of unique, but that was kind of good. So this looking a bit more, you know, dare I say it, generic, is, I wouldn't say it's worrying, because it does look good to me. The game looks high quality. The action does look pretty enthralling, pretty meaty. I gotta admit, I'm not a God of War purist. I'm not a mega fan of the series. I like the God of War games a lot. They've always had very engrossing action sequences with just the right amount of challenge. The stories are always quite good. You know, they're not richly evocative narratives or anything, but they've got a really solid, sort of like a Russell Crowe movie, or just some rollicking period action drama from the 90s or something. I say that just to contextualise the fact that I'm not clutching pearls or wringing my hands too much about the direction of this game, like some fans might be, and if they are worried about it, you know, that's perfectly valid. I could see why. These days in the AAA game space, you really are right to worry about anything. So anyway, from my perspective, it looks like the new God of War is going to be another very fine action game. It's going to be action-packed, and the combat does look satisfying. It looks violent. It looks challenging as well, like Kratos' life is on the line. But with this pulled-in perspective, there's not a lot differentiating it visually now, aside from the fact that you've got Kratos here, from any other action game. If you take Kratos out of this, and you look at the enemies we've seen and the environments even, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm not sure whether me thinking of something like Shadow of War when I look at God of War, which really should have its own, there shouldn't be anything looking quite like God of War. And this God of War looks quite like a lot of other games. And that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad game, but it does look like it's lost a bit of what makes God of War God of War. And that's just from looking at this pre-release stuff, the stuff Sony showed us. I've not played it, I don't know what the full experience is like, but I gotta say, as high quality as it looks, I don't know, that could have been, you could have had Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn in there. Not to say the game will be bad, or that it won't even feel like God of War when you actually play it, or when we see more of it, but right now I am just hoping that we see some of that original flavour there.